Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Entrepreneurship Sucks podcast with Kevin and Josh. Today, we're with a serial entrepreneur. Hang on, let me restart. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Entrepreneurship Sucks podcast with Kevin and Josh. Today, we're with a serial entrepreneur who's built multiple successful companies and now spends his time in the trenches advising other business owners on how to scale without losing their minds, like us entrepreneurs can do sometimes. Get ready to hear about the leadership challenges and growth strategies that nobody wants to talk about publicly with somebody who's seen it from both sides of the table, Mr. Los Silva. Los, how you feeling today, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. Happy to have you here.
Awesome, bro.
Yeah, man.
Great to have you. Los, we like to kick every episode off the same way, man. Obviously the name of the podcast is fairly polarizing. And so everybody has like a different reaction when we tell them the name and invite them on. So we want to ask you, man, what's your interpretation of like entrepreneurship sucks? What does that mean to Los?
Being an entrepreneur, bro, it's fucking horrible. Can I say fucking horrible?
Yeah, of course, bro.
Yeah,
man. Told you, this is the locker room, bro. Say whatever the fuck you want.
This shit is for masochists only. If you're not a masochist, like, dude, go get a job, brother. This is not for you. Entrepreneurship sucks because it's the hardest thing. I think it's the loneliest thing that you'll ever do in your life. I think it's the most difficult thing that a person can do ever because you have to hire people, you have to have ideas, you have to feel alone, you have to pay for stuff. Your wife doesn't get it. She can support you, doesn't get it though. You can't really go out to all your old friends. They're not your friends anymore because now you're a conceited asshole because you're talking about your new things. No one understands you. You're alone. You have everything coming upon you, and then you have to go be a normal human and other things, and you're not. And so you can't sleep, you have anxiety, you have depression, and then you have money, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you have money.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
It's so funny too. Like you're like, you can't talk about the shit that you're doing with anybody anymore because like, dude, Christmas time, like my cousin texted me before she showed up for Christmas Eve and she's like, you're kind of like chewing me out. And she's like, dude, she's like, can you just not like talk about your business and everything that's like new and going on with you? She's like, it's really cringy. I'm like, wow, that's pretty fucked up. I'm like, love you too. Like, I'm proud of you. You're getting your doctorate. I like announced to the world how proud I am of you for being the first like person to graduate college in our family and get your master's and then your doctorate. But like, okay, fuck me.
Stop being so fucking conceited and talking only about yourself, about stuff that no one understands.
Yeah, man. So, but dude, let's start from the beginning, Los. Like, how did entrepreneurship start for you? Like, where'd you catch the bug? I believe that we're all born entrepreneurs. It's just a matter of who accepts the calling and who just stays, with the status quo. So, you've obviously accepted the calling and gone through a hell of a journey. So let's start from the beginning.
I've never had a job.
Dang.
Like, okay. I've never had a job. So the first money I ever made was $70 a week. I made a cartoon and I sold it to my newspaper, like cold call.
Let's go.
I was like 15. I did some real shit.
That's what's up.
That's awesome, bro.
And I was just drawing like weird things with like tattoos on their faces and shit. I've always been like this and stuff.
What was the cartoon?
Bro, I don't even fucking remember all the way. But, like I had this. They were all skaters. It was because I skated. So they're all these like watermelon head figures with like tats and like dope hats and shit. I couldn't draw well, but I like drew enough little figures that like, I ended up calling, like, I was like, man, I'm going to be an artist. And then I called newspapers and I was like, hey, like a small newspaper around me. And I sold it. They were like, all right, send it. And I sent it over. And I sold it for like $70 a week they would give me. And I was like, that's sick, Nice. And then after that, I basically, I hustled a bunch of random things in high school just to try to, make money and things. I did have one job. Technically, it was in high school. It was in a boiler room. I didn't know what a boiler room was. I'm just fast tracking it, right? I was probably 17 and I would skip school just because like I didn't really like school. Not that you should skip school, but honestly, like, fuck it. So I'd skip school and I would go to this place there was 81 seats. I was seat 81, and by the second week I was seat 2. By the third week I was seat 1. They move you in seats according to how much you're closing. So by the second week I was the number 2 person there. No one liked me.
Let's go.
Because I moved so fast. And then I would move so fast that like I would go back to school because I would crank out my calls, and then I'd like get a keg and I'd be like, hey guys, if you want to can't come hang out, because like I'm just making a lot of money. For a kid, I was making like 40, 50 grand a year, but I was 17, right? And after that, I got into hustling video projectors and Crown Victorias on eBay. And then when I started doing
video
that,
projectors and Crown Vics. Like you had this is my niche.
Oh, money was my niche, right? And I realized that eBay, you got to sell higher ticket products. And so I was like, man, what can I sell? My buddy Jonzo, is not, his name's like Jonathan, but we called him Jonzo. He was hustling Crown Vics like as cars. I was like, yo, let's put a couple on the bay. and then we did, and we started selling those. And then I was like, what else can I sell? And I found these InFocus 760s and 480 video projectors. And I could make like $400 a projector. I needed to sell one a day. For me to have money, that would have been crazy. But I was selling 2 or 3 sometimes. And so we started making money. But more people start to carry, you know how it is, man. Like now this guy's doing it, this guy's doing it, because they're seeing your numbers and stuff. And so I faked, I don't want to say I faked, but I cold called Bose, and I said, hey, I'm I want to sell your product. And so I became a retailer of Bose, and I kind of like sold it over the pricing, the minimum order pricing or whatever. But I became one of the largest Bose distributors in the U.S. Yeah. And then what happened was, but I was a kid, right? So like, what was I doing at night? Going out, kicking it, partying, being a douchebag, trying to like impress chicks and having cars that I shouldn't have had. So instead of like saving good money, but I did have a lot of inventory. So when eBay essentially changed the algorithm, I don't know what an algorithm is, man. Like I'm still sleeping in couches, having a vibe with like my life. I convinced like this fraternity to like keep me and not do like any like the hazing and all that. I wasn't even going to college. I had left already. And they were like, yeah, let's do it, just so I could go to the socials. And I became friends. I just had to be like a bodyguard because I used to kind of get in fights when I was a kid. And so then after that, basically, eBay switched their model. And when they switched their model, I was like, oh shit, everything went away. And so I started cold calling. I would go to, I live in Orlando, so there's a place called Publix. It's just a shopping place, kind of like
Yeah, we have a lot of them in Tennessee here.
Cool. So I would pick up Florida Design Magazine, and then I would go pick up newspapers and like look at builders, and I would just call designers and builders, and I was like, hey, I'm one of the largest distributors of Bose systems. I would like to put up a system and a showroom absolutely free in your area. In your showroom, and leverage this one, and we can create like a relationship. I didn't know that was called a joint venture. I'm still just a dude just trying to figure life out. It took me 9 months to get my first client. I had enough food and stuff. I had some money saved up from this, and I wasn't spending a lot. I was eating, like I was in great shape. The best thing you can do to be shredded is be poor. Like it works out really well.
Ramen and OJ, man.
Bro, actually, I got shredded off Eggo waffles, cottage cheese, and eggs. That's it. Let's just think about it. It's just parts.
I'm a skinny guy. Yeah, I get it.
It tasted all right. But anyways, so I get a phone call. I call this company, Ethan Allen, and Ethan Allen is like, yeah, come drop it off, come set it up. That was a national chain. I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was like, all right, cool. So I do it. They send me a deal. They're like, hey, we've got this house over here in Maitland. Come check it out. Then I'm going on the forums on CEPro.com, and I'm like, what is the difference between a receiver and a subwoofer and this and that? And like, I didn't know. So I was just like, and then I'd come back and be like, yeah, so this is actually what you need. Boom, 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 boom. So my first deal was a $120,000 check. After 9 months, though, so like if you really average it out, like it wasn't. But first thing I did, I drove and I found a house for rent. I rented the year of that house, and then I went and got an old E3 50 Mercedes, and I bought it outright. And I was like, boom, I have where to sleep. I have a nice car for like better deals. I can eat the food that I'm eating, and added pasta to this now. And then I just worked.
Took care of all your essentials for the next year, so you could just grind.
So I love it. I don't know when I'm going to get another deal. Last time was 9 months. I'm going to need a place to sleep and some food and some gas in a car. So let's do that fast. And then I did that, and I was like, all right, I'm solid. And then I just started calling more places, growing. I ended up working with Disney, cold calling Disney. The House of Blues, if you go to the House of Blues in Orlando today, I sold them all the electronics. Nice. And if you go to the Dolphin Hotel in Disney, I sold them all the electronics. They're still there. They need severe upgrades because it's been a minute. So after that, I started doing construction, like got into construction and things like that. I was doing big houses, $3-4 million houses. We would do the wiring, the electronic integrations, because by then I had an electronic integrations business, home automation, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So how old were you at this point? What year are we talking?
I was 22.
Okay.
20 years ago.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah, we're the same age.
Yeah. And so 2008 hits, and I just got married, like right before that. No, I was like 26, my bad. But I had just got married. We're living in Fort Lauderdale because I'm doing big houses like Fat Joe and like big deals, right? The way you do this is you pre-wire the houses when you have those contracts. So I pre-wired like 7-8 houses that were going to give me a guarantee of like, if I pre-wired like 750,000 worth of homes, I was going to make like $3-4 million bucks. That's kind of like the average about math. So what happened is when 2008 hit, all this stuff started happening, and I go to this, this high-end luxury builder. I'm like, hey, how's this going to work? How am I going to get money? And they're like, you're not going to get any money back. We're going bankrupt. And I was like, what do you mean? That was all the money I had. I had I thought that this is how we played the game. And so I pre-wired all these houses. I dragged myself in there in the summer, like doing all this work. And I lost all my stuff. We had to come back to Orlando, and we lived in a 3-story townhouse with a rooftop. Like, we were killing it. Young kids, me and my wife. We came back to like a shack and basically just had to make do. Just had my kid too. My first one, Sienna. Today's her birthday, so happy birthday, babe. Love you.
Happy birthday, Sienna.
And it was really hard for me to like figure out what to do because no one would hire me at that point, right? 2008 was really rough. And so I told my wife to divorce me not because I didn't love her, just because I loved her so much. I was like, listen, I can sleep in couches. I can do good, things, whatever. Actually, I didn't have my daughter yet. We had her the year after. But I can sleep in couches. I can do whatever. Like, you're gorgeous. You have an education. I'm an idiot. I'll just figure out something to do. And she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, that's like super love and shit, babe. Like, I think that's really nice. She's like, you're an idiot. Figure something out. And I was like, all right, all I can do is try to go back online, because online's how, I built a little thing called the home theater store, and I was doing some stuff, but then I went fully into this. So I went back online, started trying to figure things out, slowly got into learning LinkedIn, started teaching LinkedIn. I remember buying Kate Buck's program, Let's Get Social. I actually asked somebody for $100 because I didn't have it. Now me and Kate are like super close friends, which is awesome. And I was like, man, I can do this. And I did. I started to make some money. And then I started to learn how to buy media, because I was like, this works good. But then, maybe you can buy media with it. And I started learning how to do like that. Long story short, we also started doing like growth hacking stuff, because I started connecting with more people. Started a show called growthhacker.tv a little bit later. But before that, I made a program called Media Buying Academy, and I put it on Udemy. And Ryan Dice at 7:00 at night one night bought it. It was like 7:30. I remember the day, because I looked up to all these guys. Now they're like my homies and stuff, right? But like, I was like, oh my God, dude. Immediately I emailed them and I was like, hey, I saw you bought this on Udemy. My name's Los. I got this. I would like you to publish me. He's like, all right, talk to talked to this guy, Jonathan. And he ended up becoming one of my best friends, Jonathan Cronson, who was the CEO of Kajabi, right?
Hmm.
He wasn't before, but Jay Cron's the one that really like pushed Ryan to end up publishing me. Perry Belcher wrote the letter. It was called the Whale Method. After that, I started swinging into this world, learning more about this group. And then, as I was hearing things, I was still kind of like in a mix of like, what do I do? I hear a lot of people talking about their back end, right? And they're like, what do you do? I was like, I help people with their back end, brother. That's what I do. Uh, and I didn't, right? But just like I didn't sell speakers and stuff until I did. And then I became like a distributor for Bose and worked with Disney. I was like, I'll figure this out. I don't need to sleep. Long story short, I ended up becoming very proficient at maximizing people's lifetime value and growth through media buying and all that. And then I realized, I'm putting all this shit together. This is what I do, right? And then that kind of sparked me starting an agency. That agency was pretty successful. I took that agency to, at its peak, we were doing like 12 million bucks. We started publishing people in kind of like the influencer space. So I had a guy, as we were charging like $12,000 to do e-com or digital, because we did both. And at one point, this guy comes to us and he's like, hey, I don't have a lot of money, but I have a television show. Maybe we can work something out. And I was like, well, let's try it. Didn't work out at first. Worked out kind of like the second time. We kind of found an angle, which was keto, and we blew that up to like $1 million. Then I had some partners that I ended up buying out because we had differences in views of how to treat our customer list. I didn't want to spam them and do stuff. I have like these rules, right? I don't do anything that I would want done negatively to my kids. I don't do anything I can present in my kids' schools. I lost $50 million by doing that. So fuck you guys, but I love you so much still. But also, I don't do anything where I don't do stuff with people that I don't want to have in my house. Right?
You don't do shady business? What? That's so rare these days.
It's real shit. So I bought these guys out, and I turned that business from $1 million to about 11 million bucks. And then we started having divisions of like, we were the largest. I had 4 different keto offers at that time, right? And those 4 keto offers were 4 out of the 5 largest keto offers of the world. We could see where we were dictating trends in Google. By 6 a.m, we had an office where like almost like the office was here and like people lived around it. It was pretty sick. But by 6 a.m, we were at $60,000 a day. By like 11 a.m, we would almost quit working because we're at like $200,000 a day. Like, it was insanity. It was wild. Obviously, again, didn't know how to handle that success. And so, you just do more shit. You're like, oh, I'm pretty good at everything. Let's just do more stuff. You start losing money, and things start changing. The algorithm shifted on this with Facebook when they got in trouble, and our traffic got cut like crazy. And so I turned that into a supplement company and leveraged the assets that we had in digital to turn it into physical. And that kind of became another model that I used to understand how to do things. So basically, I learned how to grab physical with digital. I built 4 more businesses in the same business model. I sold them, and they were all in e-commerce. And I said, hey, let's do an e-commerce group mastermind, and then grew that business to 200 of the top e-commerce people that there was.
Yeah. So where are we now? We're like what, like 2016, 15?
By now we're at like 2020.
Okay.
Yeah. And 2020 to 2020, maybe 2018, 2019 to 2020, 21, right? The years just flip into themselves if you really think about it.
It was my last year in e-commerce when I met you, and I think that was 2019 when you were speaking at that event.
Yeah, so it ended. So that group ended around 2020.
Yeah, okay.
And it ended just. I love the group, but there was a lot of other situations where I kind of ended up losing a lot of money and losing a lot of the desires of kind of being in this side of the industry. So, I kind of fell into some depression as well, because not only was that happening, but my dad killed himself.
Mm.
Then, shortly a year later, my mom pretty much killed herself. She gave herself alcohol-induced dementia, and I had lost I had millions of dollars in like assets and relationships and things, because just bad partnerships and looking different directions and whatnot. Nothing negative. Um, but I was kind of fucked, right? And I just wasn't happy. Not with myself. I just wasn't like, I didn't know what to do. I wanted to get into private equity. I've always wanted to get into private equity, and I always wanted to kind of test myself in different avenues, right? And so I had a buddy of mine. As I was going through this time, I had a buddy of mine that had I've known him since he was 14 years old. He had a pool company. He was doing a couple $1 million a year. I was like, yo, let me grab it and see what I can do with it, and we'll split everything besides this first division. I'll start new divisions, and we'll split everything, because I think I can scale it. I did, and I took it to like 13, 14 million in like 18 months, right? And then I was like, oh, I got it. So this is the business is the influencer. I just have to focus on this, right? And after doing so much media buying and understanding so much of like growth and scale, working with 200 more companies, really over 300, I realized that the problem is that no one was good at ops. So we became an operations group more than anything. Kind of got rid of the media buying and the just marketing side of it. Really focused on operations, and that helped us a lot, especially in home services. So as that was happening, I started getting more and more into these opportunities. Uh, I started to get invited into more of private equity stuff. I had I had an invitation to basically help one company grow and sell, because I was helping people buy and sell companies at the same time, right? And so kind of this matched, and I put a group together with a couple of other friends that are now partners, and now our focus is kind of twofold, right? We we buy and sell our own businesses, and we help people, and we do our own roll-ups, and then we also buy and sell businesses for people, mostly sell. And we don't teach you how to buy. If you want us to do it, we'll kind of do it, depending, but mostly we'll sell or for someone, or we'll buy for ourselves,
Mm.
right? And that's kind of where we are now. We I've acquired, I kind of, now that I'm getting back into the game in a different way, I've acquired some media properties. I sold a couple of media newsletter companies in the interim as I was getting by, to a couple publicly traded companies, which is cool. Can't say who they are. I can tell you guys offline, but like legally,
Yeah.
they're big and scary. But yeah, so now our focus is buying and selling companies, rolling companies up, or building and selling companies for ourselves, and helping people do the same. And it's a big thing that I own privatequitygroup.com as well, which is going to be a media company, that I just want to create content for people to really know how to do this shit. Because like I was telling you guys, I just left a real conference where they really are at. They don't even talk in gross. All this like jibber jabber Twitter shit is just not it. And people need to know the real ways to do things. They need to know how things really need to be. To You have the opportunities, and I think a lot of times people are jaded, or they lose sight of the right stuff, or the reason that you actually wanted to do business, because you're dick measuring with someone else because of your car or like the next event. So that's another thing that I stopped kind of wanting to do with events and things like that. I realized, after my parents took their lives, and having kids, and like what is life, like what do I want to do? Entrepreneurship did suck so bad, right? But I was like, entrepreneurship was never supposed to suck. It was supposed to give me something for like happiness. But you lose happiness completely when you become a good entrepreneur, because you lose sight of yourself. Like, what do you want to do when you get older? More money. What the fuck is more? Like, I had someone I was mentoring yesterday. Was like, so what's your goal? I was like, what do you mean? It was like, what's the end goal? I was like, I'm living it. Like, I'm living the end goal. What is it, to have more money? That should be kind of like like a logical assumption, right? We will achieve more money in time as we continue to do this thing. Is it a particular, like, I'm going to be a billionaire or this or that? No, dude, I'm going to be a dope ass dad, a great husband, and a good friend. That's it. And travel and have a good time. experience fucking life, because entrepreneurship sucks, and I want to like have really good times when I'm not doing this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I love that perspective that you're already living it. It's like people ask how much money you want to make or what's your goal, what are you trying to get to, and when you coming out of a scarcity state, that is the goal because you can't think beyond, just survival, But
Yeah.
then once you've been in the game, you're like, I know me. I know my skill set. I can make money in any market, right? And once you have that, it's like it's no longer about making money. It's about having fun, being like a playful spirit, having joy. Like being present with your loved ones, and then
Money's
those
the
types of
fuel,
things.
not the destination, is what just kind of came to me, right? Like,
That's it,
Yeah.
dude. I mean, so many people. I had a guy one time that I was consulting, had a $10 million dropshipping business. So he didn't even have a business, but they was doing $10 million. He was making 300, right?
mm-hmm.
Partner and him getting a fight, loses it, boom, he's freaking out. He's like, I don't have a $10 million business. I was like, well, if you reframe it, you don't have 300 grand, right? So like, you got to make 300 grand. What if I show you how to do this consulting, this, and you make $1 million? Like, this is pretty much on track. I can help you do that. He's like, no, I gotta do this so I can get to 8 figures. I was like, but it was drop shipping. You would never sold it. He's like, I know, but I just, I want to do 8 figures. I was like, why?
Yeah.
Because it's just, what I have to do. Is like, no, it's not. It's who you have to be to someone else. Because if you don't have an idea,
Because someone told you in an ad or fucking a course that that's where they are.
it's who you have to be to someone else, because your ass doesn't have an identity.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was doing like 12, 15 million, and I met a guy that was like, yeah, I do like 3. And I was like, bitch. And then and then he was like, yeah, like 95 of it is net, and I live here, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
It's
It's
crazy.
perspective, man. Like, what do you want to do with your life? Like I'm enjoying a lot, like being in a new space, like messing, like and like, I'm competitive, and I have like my sauce about me. So like now that I've been through this space, I'm like, I'm gonna fuck this up. I'm gonna crush these fuckers, because they're all like investment bankers, and it's a different game, and they're not market. They don't play our game, right? So
Mm-hmm.
at first it's intimidating, but now I'm like, bro, I'm gonna be the biggest face in the space, no doubt, right? But that's fun. I'm not doing it to like, and then I'll show you. I'm just enjoying that. Now I know how to make content about it. Like now I'm motivated again for that. That's obviously going to create revenue.
You're motivated by being a winner and being an A player. That's all, dude. It's not about anybody else.
That's it. And then I want to, help the teams structure better things, because we used to have fuck around Fridays, and then they became flying Fridays because we need to have like all this money and stuff. I'm reinserting fuck around Fridays, and it just means like, come work if you want to come work, do your stuff, but like, let's create value and not have to. What is Friday? It's the same as Saturday. It's the same as Tuesday, man. Just fucking take some time. Like right after this podcast, I'm leaving. I'm gonna go hang out with my daughter because it's her 15th birthday and she's at home. So, and then we're gonna take her friends out to dinner and stuff like that. So that's why you make money.
Oh, yeah.
I don't make money like go impress dudes at a fucking Ritz Carlton on a fucking Saturday.
Yeah.
I used to. I for sure used to, and it was all I cared about. But now I'm like, I don't give a fuck, bro. I'm not going.
I'm coming back to like what I mentioned. It's like not about the money, but like where do you think that entrepreneurs prolong the suck of entrepreneurship by focusing only on money? Like that's how they start out. But like I feel like personally, I'm 26, and the more money that we make, I've noticed is like it's not about like we make more money when I stop pursuing money. Is what I'm trying to say.
You're right. Money runs from you when you do that.
Water, like right, Kevin?
Yeah.
Money's a mover, man. Money moves.
Money's
flows.
an energy, man.
Yes, if you don't have flow, if you don't have momentum, you don't have money. If you're in a momentum of scarcity or like desire or greed, money's not there. You're still just desiring greed, and money's like pulling. It's money. It's going like that. It's not coming towards you. I think that entrepreneurs, we all started, I just kind of say it like this, right? You have no money, you make $10,000, you make some other stuff, you get to like the 100 or whatever if you do, and then you go, but like you forget, you had no money, you needed like 3 or 4 to survive, maybe 7, now because of inflation and shit. But then you make like your 10 or 15, and then you stop thinking about what you wanted and what that pays for. you just add more to that bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you add bullshit to this bucket, the more money you need. And you stop focusing on one money you needed, just how much money they need now for work and for the office and for this, for that. Now you got to make 250 grand a month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like my biggest overhead was like 700,000 a month at one point, but it included ads. Right. But it was fucking wild. And I was like, babe, I got to make like fucking $8 million a fucking year before I get paid.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. And so, you know, it's like that. And now it's so different. You know, I have cash flowing like concepts for cash flow because we get paid very significantly on the back of selling these companies that we build ourselves now. Also, you know, I think that people get too tied up into greed. Like I lost a lot of the money that I made and a lot of those, you know, the millions of dollars that I talked about because my choice was made out of like, if you read Ray Dalio's Order of Consequence, my choice was an order of consequence that came out of greed and ego. I was working with the opportunity of with what I thought was a bigger guy. And I was like, all right, that'll position me in a bigger place and I'll have bigger clients. That's greed and ego.
Yeah, man. There's no shortcuts. Those that rush ahead don't ever get far.
And I rushed ahead and I killed it because I pushed myself to do it for someone else, thinking I would then receive something.
And it's
I
like
didn't. I was already on that fucking path.
Yeah, it's like Icarus flying too close to the sun and getting burned and falling all the way back down. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And so I think the biggest thing, like I don't do this anymore, but I used to, and I do think it kind of served me. But now I'm very into like frequencies. I mean, our private equity group is called 528 Partners, and it's because that's the frequency of abundance, right? And my main company, like my holding, is called 33 Ventures because I'm a Life Path 33, so I'm on some weird shit, you know.
Yeah, man.
But it's because like I've gotten through so much dark times.
I've been kind of geeking out on Gary the Numbers guy shit lately too, so like I feel
yeah, dude. You think he got on that shit on text, man, for sure.
Yeah,
like he got some weird shit about it. Like I didn't realize like how like what a 33 is, and then I was like, chat, what does this mean? And I was like, oh fuck, that's me. I was like, to a T. I was like, that's crazy. And so, you know, it's interesting stuff. I'm big on like when I fly, I only listen to frequencies and stuff. Like I think you got to keep positivity in your mind and your body because the world can make you negative. The world can like take you away from you. And so, kind of to go back to it, when I was like more negative, but still positive in the version of like, you know, you can't hurt my feelings because ever since I was younger, I look in the mirror and I insult myself to the point where like. It's not insults like you suck, I want you to die. It's more like you're being a bitch. You know this is why this went wrong. You know this. I attack myself so you can't attack my character.
Yeah, like nobody can be harder on me than I am on myself.
Yeah, because listen, if I insult you and I say something that hurts your feelings, it's not me. It's you recognizing that someone else knows that feeling about you. That's what it is, right? And so if you have that feeling on yourself, you're like, no, I get it. I understand. Because I'm trying to fix it. I'm not trying to be hurt by it, right? And so what I realized also is it's okay to recognize that, but I was also hurting myself because I wasn't going in the mirror and saying, hey, everything you have is already done. You're killing it. You're moving forward. Because you're programming yourself like my negativity. Even though you're trying to face it and do better, you're still pushing yourself back, kind of like that money, analogy.
Dude, I got to send you a picture of all the Post-it notes in my bathroom mirror. My wife put all these. She's been geeking out on, what's it, babe? David Guillaume.
Yeah.
His Lewis Hose podcast interview and everything, dude. She's got like 30 Post-it notes in our bathroom all over the mirrors, dude. Just awesome. Amazing.
Yeah. And
constant reinforcement of positivity.
For sure.
Dude, yeah. Now when I look in the mirror, I talk to myself in like a positive way. I'm in the best health, in the best shape, the best out, the best this. And it is like that and it's done. And I go fuck up the day, right? I started dressing different. I dress like more. I'm very streetwear style. For the most part, but when I come to work, I'm a different character, and I'm coming in more clean, more whatever. It's also because I got to get used to it, because internet marketing is very different than private equity. I got to go buy more suits now, and you can't pretend like, oh no, I'm going to be a vibe. You're fucking not. You're going to get shut the fuck down over it. Like you got to put, bro. These people have business cards.
Yeah,
that's business cards.
Yeah,
and you're playing in a world of cards. A world of like kind of like judgment and perception too, right? Like
Yeah,
But their perception of you is very important to whether you can make a deal happen or not.
it's 100% correct, man. I mean, these people have business cards, but they have billions, right? They're not.
Mm-hmm.
You're not finding people in their 40s there. You're
Mm-hmm.
talking maybe a few. You're talking to 58, 60-year-old men,
Yeah.
right? That are 25, 35 years. Bah, bah, bah. And this is like a division of their stuff. They have, this is small middle market stuff. They have a division that's in the bigger markets, right? And so this isn't impress the game. It's a different way of impressing. There's not the Lambo, there's not whatever. They're driving in an
Yeah.
Uber and they have a backpack, but they got a nice suit and they're refined, they're talented, and they got
Exactly.
a nice and
Yeah.
it's a different way, right? Which
It's like
enjoyable
taste.
also as
It's
you get
taste
older.
over flash, really.
100%. And so it's enjoyable too when you get older because you're kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of done with this shit. Like, I don't care about your Lambo. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, no one is impressed by that.
People always like compliment me on my watch. They're like, "Nice watch, bro." I'm like, "Yeah, $100 on Amazon." Like, I don't give a fuck. I've broken very expensive watches. I'm like, I'm not about that life.
I break them and they fuck up the flow.
Oh yeah, true that.
But yeah, this one tattooed neck. So I mean, I'm still doing that. I have to listen. I want to do private equity, but I have to have this other hand tattooed.
It's interesting though, man. You talk about like how you show up for private equity versus on a like online marketing. Like I came from the finance industry and I still have like a dozen suits in my closet because I had to wear one to work every day. But now I get to wear hats and hoodies and like streetwear like you. And I feel that's more me. Like
oh yeah, for sure.
I felt really like inauthentic in the suits, and I felt like I was just playing a part because I had to. And it very was like that. Like, my bosses, their networks, they were making lots of money. Like, they would be on the ClickFunnels stage walking across like equivalently, but they were very humble, lowly. Like they didn't flash, but they flexed in a different kind of way. And I think that as a starting entrepreneur, it's hard to have, you can't have that. You don't have the reference points. You don't have the experience. So I'm curious, you mentioned greed, ego, and like, pride and operating from this place of all that in every intention. Like that's just what your energy, your intention is out of everything you do, conversations, relationships, interactions. It comes from that place. How did you, like, when did you recognize that was going on and what did you do to stop or to flip the script?
I recognized it like 3 years later by rereading Principles by Ray Dalio. And I always thought it, and I've always been very good at like social dynamics and understanding like why I'm making choices because I think in patterns, like I think in orders of consequence, not in first principles, right? Like I had a mentor like kind of give me an IQ test one time. He's like, get your IQ tested because I was like, I'm having a hard time working with some of the guys at the office. And he's like, get your this tested and I'll tell you why. And I did, and he was like, oh, it's because you're thinking in the end and you don't think in the beginning, and so it's hard for you to explain things. So my brain thinks in patterns of endings, right? Like fully structured shit. And so I always kind of knew it, but the reality is that I wanted to ignore it because I liked money more than I liked myself, and I liked like thinking people thought I was this shit more than I liked myself. That was what fed my ego, and now I just like myself more than I like those things. And it has to be a journey. I mean, for me, like I guess it just every situation helped, right? Like my dad killing himself helped me realize how to be a better dad. I don't look at it as a negative thing. I was actually grateful. I was talking to somebody, just to digress for 2 seconds, but I was, everyone talks to him like, oh man, I'm sorry. I'm like, dude, I'm a sick dad. Like I'm a really, really good dad. And I don't think I would have been this dad or this husband if I wouldn't have had that dad and that mom, if they wouldn't have been this way with me. If I would have received more love or been a rich kid or something, I don't know who I'd be, but I know who I am because of that. So it allows me to be grateful and be positive and stuff like that in those ways. But also like that was very, very negative. Like, bro, I got myself a drinking addiction when my dad killed himself because my dad was an alcoholic. My mom killed herself from alcohol poisoning. Like I actually looked at a therapist and was like, oh, you're drinking to connect with your family. This is the only connection that you have. And so I was like, fuck, I got to stop this shit. Because I wasn't even enjoying it. I was just like that, plus depression, plus like not being able to talk about it at home, plus not being able to talk about it to my friends, plus being like broker and like having to restart more at this age with shit, and making a huge shift and change into another industry completely. Fucking life was rough, bro. And I felt so alone. And I asked my close friends to have my back. I saw who the fuck was close and who wasn't. And it was shocking. And also grateful for that now because, it all helped me be who I always knew I could become. But fuck, that valley is a dark one, dude. And you don't even get a flashlight of that bitch. And so going through that is what allowed me to question myself, not like negatively in a malicious manner or like dubious way, but more so in like a, dude, who the fuck are you gonna be? And what are you gonna do when you come back? Like, what happens if this doesn't come back? Like, what happens if you are this way or that way? Like, who do you want to fucking be? And I want to be this guy. And now that I get to be this guy freely, coincidentally, all the money comes back and all the flavors, all the good energy is showing up again,
That's so powerful, man. And not a lot of people talk about that at all.
It almost made me cry.
Dude, it's a battle that I'm facing personally right now. Letting go of how I've been thinking and operating towards little things, noticing what triggers me, noticing my intention of, like, I'm admittedly very scarcity minded. And I will sometimes try to think that the way out of that is by going back to like safe comfort, predictable. But yet at the same time, I have all this, this greed, this ego, like thinking about, money and all this stuff. And I'm making these connection points as you talked about. I'm like, it's that MO that is keeping me stuck. And so that's why I asked, what was like the breaking point for you? Like, yeah, you realized it, and then you had the conversation with your mentor, and you're like, you like yourself. It was kind of dichotomous. It's like you focus more on yourself and the relationship that you want to have with yourself and who you want to become. And then that was the solution to the pride and the ego. It seems kind of counterintuitive, right? And when you say it.
The universe is a paradox, bro. As within, so without. Like, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing holding you back is you. And I know that's so cheesy to say it all the time, but it's your mindset. Yeah. It's your unwillingness to accept or not accept who you are and face who you want to be. Shit gets dark in here, bro. And no one gets it. And I realized like one day I was like, fuck, I am the biggest problem around me, and it's not like anything else, but like what I'm telling myself at night, what keeps me awake at night or what makes me go to sleep easy. Yeah. That's how I'm going to face the next day.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, like when it comes to like mindset and shit, it's like, dude, you have to either control your mind or your mind is going to control you. Like there's one or the other, man. Like you can either lead or follow because shit's going to keep moving forward regardless. Los, did we lose you on camera and audio? Okay, you're good. All right. But yeah, you just got to take the reins, dude. You got to proactively take lead of how you think and what you say to yourself. And,
Yeah, I was thinking about starting a podcast calling it Spiritual Savage because it's just, there's so much spirituality and like so much like, you've got to be a fucking savage, but you also, you've got to be like a healed inside person that like wants to do things with purpose and on purpose, man. One of the biggest reasons that I work now is literally my family. It's like not even like this cheesy bullshit or whatever, but you got to understand, like for me, which it could be for someone else, it's totally different. But for me, like my best friends are my actual family because my family killed themselves and I had also horrible upbringing. My dad beat the shit out of me with telephones and stuff, and they were both alcoholics. So like it wasn't great, right? So my family's my best friends. And then my wife and my kids are like everything in the world to me. And every time, the best times in the world that you have are like summer or hanging out with your boys or like meeting. It's memories. It's not sitting here fucking typing, right? So how fast can we like multiply and create leverage while being excited and enjoying this? Like we have a sick office. We have 6,000 square feet. We have fucking scooters and stuff.
Mhm.
It's fun. But also at the same time, like, I don't want to be here all the time. Like I want to go have a vibe. I want to go do stuff. I want to try to experience things more. Experience is all I care about. And if I have good money to do that and I'm doing things that I enjoy, dude, I'm wealthier than you. I have richer friends. I have billionaire friends that are depressed as fuck and they won't hang out with me on like weekends because I'm like, I refuse it. I'm like, no, I have my kids. Like I can see you on a weekday. You have all the money in the world. They're like, oh, I'm slammed. I'm like, bro, nah. I choose not to hang out on the weekend with just someone because, like, bro, if we can do it on a Tuesday, like, nah, man, I'm gonna kick it with my kids. I'm gonna go to the farmer's market. I'm gonna do something else, right? And so they're just stuck. It's like I don't want to be stuck, man. Like you can keep your billion. Like the if you keep going in your route, like just money compounds and like longevity of time, it like consistently grows. You'll hit your 20 million, 50 million, 100 million net worth. You will. And just shut the fuck up and just like keep going. It's gonna happen. If you try to do all these things, you're gonna lose it, and you're gonna be stressed out. And you're not gonna be whatever. The simpler you make this thing, and I know that sounds so hard. You have to hit bottoms. You have to suck at life to understand what I'm saying when I say the simpler you keep this game, the fucking easier it is to fuck on hard mode.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 100%. And like, this is something that me and Joshua talk about because obviously, like, I'm 40, he's 26. This is our first business together. I have my experiences prior to working with him. And like, one of the things that I've said over like the past year and a half since we started this thing is like, dude, I'm not trying to build a fucking prison. I don't care how much money we're making. I'm building a life. We're building a life. We're building freedom for our children, more opportunities, like more freedom for us. Like, I'm not building a fucking prison. I don't care if it's $1 billion prison. Like,
No,
I need freedom, dude. Like, I get fucking restless if I don't have like autonomy.
for sure.
I don't care how much money it is.
I don't either.
Fuck that.
You can make more money by having that autonomy, I bet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just crazy, but it's real.
So for you at this stage in the game, it's about having fun. It's like challenging, like you know what you're capable of, and you want to have fun, and you want to play this game at the top level, like because you know what you're capable of, and you have finally found who you want to be, and you've created that version of yourself, and now it's
Finally
about
being able to do it on your terms.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to beat the shit out of me, not anyone else. I'm not competing with anybody else. Like, I'm having a good time with everyone else. And I'm competing against the version of me every day because I just want to see how I can just keep moving. I like this market that I just left. We're also working with athletes on another thing. I just left 200 NFL athletes in Arizona, and a private office and us are working on a new management division to help them grow. And so it's all integrated, right? It all makes sense. It's not just like, oh, I'm doing this right. It's all to help them grow their brand and help them pick the right businesses, just buy and grow and sell. And so that's pretty sick.
I should link you up with one of our business partners. His brother just signed. Osa Odigizue just signed for another 4 years with the Cowboys for $80 million. I should connect you guys.
Yeah. Our average guy's doing 30 to like 50 to 100, like because it's the second year term guys, right?
Yeah.
That get kind of that contract. I've learned a shit ton of the NFL in like the last 3 days, just because like the in depth of being in there, right? It's pretty cool. But yeah, like that's sick. Like I don't even fucking watch football like that, but like it's now I get to watch it for like I'm watching the draft to like see who's coming up. NIL.
I stopped when I started my entrepreneurial journey, man. I cut out sports, all that shit. I'm like, anything that isn't laser focused on what I'm trying to accomplish is just a time waster. So, and then I just got in the habit of not watching. So I just watch the Super Bowl once a year.
But it also helped me a lot because like I walked in and I was like, I don't know who you are. Anyways, what do you do?
Well, yeah, dude, that's funny, dude. Like, cause that's like, I went to that black tie event, the bad marketing black tie event for Hacking Live and whatever. And dude, I just like, another thing, like we were talking about money and right. And like when you chase it or when you try to like attract it or whatever, like, or, you're just chasing it away. Right. But like, I think you and I are kind of similar where like in our 20s, we did a lot of partying, we did a lot of nightlife things. Right. Like, and I had this vibe about me where I could walk in a room where people were paying $10,000 to be in a VIP, all the bottles and everything. And I could just like pull the energy out of the VIP and spend less than like $200 and still have all the women with me that were in there for the money. Right. And so like I realized like I haven't been to an event since the one that you and I met at. So like it's been like 5 years or whatever, right? And so when I went to FHL and I went to that black tie event, I'm like, dude, I forgot how easily I can work a room because how much I don't give a fuck, and I'll just walk up and treat you like a regular fucking person. I'm not fanning out with nobody, dude. Ty Lopez, Jeremy Minor, like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'll tell you a story offline on that, but like I killed it at this event.
Yeah.
With the 200 people.
Let's go.
It was just funny. I was walking. I'll tell you one side of it here. The rest I'll tell you. But I was just walking up to like partners of like six, 7, 8 dudes just taking shots. They're all playing. They're all active NFL players. And I was walking. I'm like, yo, what the fuck, man? Where's mine? They're like, huh? I was like, yeah, what the fuck? I was like, oh shit, man, what's your name? And then I knew. I was like, are you active, non-active? What's going on? I was like, oh shit, who's that? And then I'd get 6, 7 intros in one fucking shot, literally, right? And then I ended up connecting with like 40, 50. I got like 23 numbers. There was only 200 of them. Like I dominated 10, 15% of the freaking squad. Like, and now I'm just homies with them. Like we're just jamming and stuff. Cause I'm trying to see where it fits in that we help too. Because I'm not trying to just get a bag off of them. That's why it's so easy.
I'm relationship first before any business. Like I need to know you before we talk about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I care about that relationship shit. And that's what makes it different, I guess. You know, that's what makes there's rare people that are like that. You know, that's why like we connected quick. And I was like, bro, for sure. And then like, I'm sorry that we had to do kind of like the problems with the pods and stuff, but
it's funny because like I could feel the energy. It was like it wasn't you were blowing me off, and I could feel that. I'm like, dude, he's sick, he's fucking busy, whatever. I'm like, it's gonna happen. I don't care. Like fucking, and if not, we'll just keep texting each other and connect another way, dude.
I'm gonna do the best I can to fucking be as raw as I can on this pod. And I mean, I literally cried like 3 times, guys. I think it's because of my daughter's birthday and like going through all this stuff. It's like, well,
I know we were talking about like before we hopped on about like the memories your wife sends you. Like my wife, I'm actually the worst. I do that more to my wife than she does it to me. But you know, when they get to be that age, man, 15, 16, and you're so close with them, right? Like me and my son are like literally best friends, right? But then they start to become a teenager, and I'm like, it's happening. I said to him the other day, he's like, what are you talking about, dude? I'm like, yep, I told you it was going to happen. I was like, no matter how hard we try, it's going to happen. I'm like, we're going to start to like kind of disconnect. I'm not going to see you as much. We're going to miss each other, but we're going to be busy with our lives. It's going to happen. There's a whole song about it, right? My dad used to play that song and be like, you know, I forget the name of the song, but you know what I mean? And he's like, no, dude. He's like, and I'm like, you realize, I'm like, you don't ever have to move out until you're ready. Like all this shit. I'm like, you don't have to go nowhere, man. I'm like, you stay here with me forever if you want. Like,
me and my daughter go to shows all the time. We're going to the weekend together. We went to Taylor Swift.
Nice.
We go like a bunch of different. She loves music.
I brought him to see 50 Cent. I was like, shit was dope. I brought him to see Yellow Wolf, and Yellow Wolf was general admission, dude. He was like 13, and we were in fucking Toad's Place in New Haven, right up against the railings, like going hard.
Dude, I love that because I talk to other parents and are like, oh my god, like you're gonna go like, oh, I guess we're gonna pretend that they don't listen to this shit when I'm not around.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Let's just
and like they're gonna go and do these things anyway, so why not be there with them?
So let's just do it together and let's even have a vibe. Because like, oh, I guess you can't listen to the weekend now. What the fuck are you, stupid?
I can't protect him or guide him if I'm not there. So
I'd rather run it with you.
I see shit going on. He'll ask me about shit like, oh, what, like, yeah, they're smoking weed over there. Like, stay over here. Like that type of stuff. And I'm there in the moment. Like no one was there when I had those moments. I had to figure that shit out for myself.
You know? Yeah. I mean, that's a really good point. Would you rather be there or not be there? They're going to do it either way.
Yep. Yeah, you're going to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it, man. Well, listen, I know, it's your daughter's birthday. We've been at it for a little bit. We can keep going, or let's just do a part 2, man. Why don't you go enjoy your daughter's birthday, man? I appreciate you being here.
I would love to do a part 2 with you guys. Anytime I can come on.
And let me know if we can help. Like, if you want to do the Spiritual Savages, and let us know anything that we, like, any, like, support we can give you on, like, guidance on how to, like, get things going. I know you got a big network, but we're here to support you if you need it, bro.
No, dude, honestly, like, let's all 3 text offline, because I'd love to just see how we can kick it more. I'd love to do more pods.
Bro. We got a kick-ass podcast launch guide, man. We can help you out get that thing launched ASAP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man.
And we got a couple private equity guys that are like, hey, 90% of our clients actually aren't qualified to work with us, like the prospects. So they're like, can you do like AI stuff for them and like get them to the next level so that they're more qualified for us? I'm like, yeah, that sounds fucking easy. Like 90% of your prospects are my ideal avatar and you don't want them until I get them to the next level. Let's rock. So like that might even be a conversation we can have. And we'll cut this off the back end of the podcast. This is just us talking.
Yeah. Let's definitely do a part 2, but let's also just do a phone call like next week. I am gonna take off and go kick it with my daughter.
Yeah, do that.
But I hope this version 1 was good.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
You gave us so much valuable shit. Listen, we've done over 30 of these, and I have not taken this many notes on any of them.
I appreciate it, man. It means a lot.
Yeah, we appreciate you, bro.
Definitely, I just want to kick it with you guys, man. I want to hang out more, figure out how we can get more stuff together. And I appreciate you guys so much for having me on.
Likewise.
I'll do a 3-way text, and then I'll talk to you guys later, man. Have a great week.
Enjoy your daughter's birthday, bro. Later.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Bye.
You too.